Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, we're going to build a timesheet, and I'm going to show you how to calculate the total hours worked, whether it's for employees or you're billing customers or assigning them to jobs or whatever in your Microsoft Access databases. Today's question comes from Michelle from Dunedin, New Zealand. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She says, I watched your video on calculating total time spent on a job, but how can I total that up in a form footer? I have a timesheet showing customers a time in and a time out. I'd like to calculate the total hours worked in the form footer. And she's right. In the original video that I did where I show you how to calculate the total time spent on a job, I only pretty much built the spreadsheet in a query, and then I showed you an aggregate query how to add them all up. But we didn't do it in the form footer. So let's put all these calculations in a form footer so you can see exactly how many hours were worked for the job. Now this will work whether you're doing employee timesheets or you're calculating job costing for a customer or you're doing time and billing. It's all the same stuff. It's a time in, a time out, and total hours worked. So you can go watch this one if you want to. This is my total time spent video. I'll put a link down in the links section, but I'm going to recreate this real quick because the original video was recorded 4 months ago before I started doing my cool Tech Help free template. So I'm going to put this inside of that. So go download a copy of my Tech Help free template if you want to. It's a free download from my website. You'll find a link down below. So let's create a table. We'll call this our timesheet. So we got a timesheet ID. That's our auto number. Now you can put a customer ID in here. I'll say we're billing customers for our time. This will be a number of type long integer, right? That's our foreign key. If you're not familiar with that, go watch my video on relationships. And again, this can be an employee ID or a job ID or whatever you want to relate this to. It doesn't really matter. Okay, we've got a start time, which will be a date time field. It can be a date or a time or both, right? It's preferably you enter a full date time. So January 1st at 3 p.m. All right, the calculations work best that way. And an end time. Right? Or you can call this clock in, clock out, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. All right, let's save this. Timesheet T, timesheet table. Primary key is our ID, of course. Close it. And let's put some data in it. Now, we can leave the customer ID 0 for now. You can put a combo box in there so you can easily see that. But for now, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's put in here 1-1 at 9 a.m. to 1-1 at 5 p.m. Calculations are going to go in a query, right? How about 1-2 at 8 a.m., 1-2 at 3 p.m., and I'll do one more. 1-3 at 10 a.m. to 1-3 at 11 p.m. That's a long day. Okay? And again, at this point, the customer ID is meaningless. We'll fill that in later. All right, close that. Save changes, yes. Now let's go create a query to do our calculations, just like the last video. Create, query design. All right, we're going to bring in the timesheet table. You can optionally bring in the customer table if you want to see the customer details here, but we don't need to. All right, let's bring down the star so we've got all the fields in here. Now, the first thing we're going to calculate is the minutes worked. It's best if you do your calculations based on minutes. All right, don't try to divide up and do hours and stuff yet. We'll take the minute difference using date diff. That's what I showed in the last video. And then based on the minutes, you can easily derive the hours by dividing by 60. Okay, so we're going to say minutes worked is going to be date diff. If you've never used date diff before, go watch my date diff video. I'll put a link down below. Stop right now, pause this, go watch date diff, get familiar with date diff. Okay, N for minutes is our delimiter, or not our delimiter, our property. I couldn't find the word right there, right? H for hours, Y for years, Y, actually 4 Y's for years. I got a whole list of all the different ones in my date diff video, right? Months is M, so minutes is N. Use N for minutes. All right, then we got the time in, the time out. So the start time, end time. Okay. Let's save this. Timesheet Q. Let's take a look at what we got. There's the difference in minutes between that and that. All right, make sure it looks about right. If you want to test one, come down here. You can do data entry 1-4 at 9 a.m., 1-4 at 10 a.m. should give you 60. All right, if I change that to 10:30, now I should be up to 90. All right, so make sure that's working. Looks good? Looks good. Everything's good so far. All right. Now we've got our minutes worked. We can shrink that up a little bit. We don't need to see the whole thing. Now that I know the minutes worked, I can calculate the hours worked. Now this will be the hours as a fraction. You'll see a decimal point. All right, so hours worked is going to be minutes worked divided by 60. It's that simple. Okay, there we go. All right, 8 hours, 7 hours, 13 hours, 1.5 hours. Okay, if I come in here and make this 11:15, I'll see a quarter hour on that one now. Okay, now you might want to know how many whole hours is that, because if we know the whole hours, then we can derive the minutes that are left over. Okay, so back to the query. All right, shrink that up. We got the hours worked. Now we're going to take the whole hours worked. All right, we're just going to take that same calculation and run it through the int function. All right, the int of hours worked. All right, run that. There's the int. It just chops off the fractional component. All right, and if you change this to like 11:45, it doesn't round up. Int just chops it off. That's what I want, the whole thing. All right, even if this is 11:55. All right, that's most of an hour. Nope, you still get 13 there. And this, as you can see, sometimes you'll get very long numbers out of that one. You may want to round that value. This is one of the reasons why I don't like using the divide by 60 to calculate this, because you get these real, sometimes wacky little fractions in there. I don't rely on this number. This is just for display. All right, I use minutes worked, but you can come in here for hours worked and round this guy to maybe 2 decimal places. All right, and that'll fix that kind of. Okay. All right, so now we got the whole hours worked. Now we can figure out how many minutes are left over by multiplying that by 60. All right, makes sense? You got the whole hours worked, multiply that by 60, and you get the minutes that are left over. Okay. A lot of this is just basic logic and math. There's not a lot of crazy database stuff going on here. Right? Minutes left equals the total minutes worked. Actually, we're in a query now. I'm used to writing in VB, so I have to go back to my query knowledge here. Right? Minutes left colon minutes worked minus, and then whole hours worked times 60 minutes. Okay, basic math. Okay, that's 8 even hours, so there's no minutes left. All right, that's 55 extra minutes onto that hour. There's 13 hours, 55 minutes. All right, see how that works? All right, one more column. Let's display that as a duration. So you don't see 0.25 hours, you see 15 minutes. All right, that's a lot of times when you're doing billing, that's how you want to display it. So now we're basically going to convert this into a text string. So duration, okay, is going to be whole hours worked and a colon and minutes left. All right. And that's just basic concatenation. If you've never done string concatenation before, go watch my concatenation video. All right. See, a lot of this stuff builds on other stuff. That's why a lot of times people, they have a certain thing they want to do that requires advanced stuff like VBA, and they try jumping right into the developer class, right? Or trying to write some VBA that they found online. I get this a lot. People say, "Oh, I found this code online. How do I do it?" No, well, you don't have all the understanding that goes underneath it. Okay. I was just telling a customer this story yesterday, in fact, that my daughter, when she was like 8 or 9 years old, we went to see a movie, and we were sitting there before the movie starts, and she's got her popcorn, and she's like, "Daddy, where's the moon come from?" Right? And I'm trying to explain this to an 8-year-old. I'm like, well, 4.5 billion years ago, there was a Mars-sized planetoid they named Theia, which struck the Earth and blew most of our mantle out into space, and it orbited the planet for a while, and then it coalesced into the moon. And she just looked at me and, okay, and went back to eating her popcorn. All right? It's the same thing with if you have basic knowledge of Access and you're trying to do developer-level stuff, you got a whole lot of other stuff you got to understand first before you can just jump into it. Okay, and I wish I had time to hold everyone's hands. I really do, but there's only so many hours in the day. So I'm just going to point you to videos, or like this, I can try to explain it in a Tech Help video. But I can only do so many of these a day, too. So I'm trying, people. I'm trying. All right, so now we got that. All right, now usually you want to see a 2-digit minute, right? That's the convention. It'd be 8 hours and like 00 minutes. So we'll just format that to show 2 decimal points. So wrap this in the format function. All right, format that, comma, and then inside of quotes, 0, 0, just like that. And now you'll see that duration looking like that. Okay, so make sure this works. Hour and a half, right? 1.5 hours, 90 minutes. This is good. This is bulletproof. I can't see any way that this would be wrong. If you find a bug with this, let me know. I'll give you a free year subscription to my website. Okay. Now let's put all of this into a form. We'll use a continuous form. Save changes to that, yes. We already have a continuous form from our template. Again, you can go watch how that was constructed by going to watch this video. All right, we'll call this our timesheet F. All right, find the timesheet F down here. Right-click, design view. Bind the timesheet to that new query. All right, use the query so you have your calculations in the query. You don't have to do many calculations in the form. The form records will have no calculations in them at all. They're all done in the query underneath. We'll have some calculations in the form footer in a minute when we add all them up. Okay? All right, now I'm going to delete this guy and that label. And yeah, we'll just delete that too. We'll just bring everything in new. Add existing fields. All right. Don't really need the timesheet ID, but I'm going to bring it in anyways. The customer ID, yeah, sure, we'll turn that into a combo box. We'll probably do that in the extended cut. We don't need that for now. For you to get the basic understanding of how this works. All right, start time, end time. Now, bring in minutes work, although we don't need to see it. It's nice to have there. We don't need hours work. We don't need whole hours work. We don't need minutes left, because those are just needed for the calculation. Okay, so let's bring in duration just for the appearance. Okay, click and drag all these, drop them in the detail section. All right, I'm going to get rid of those labels, delete. The ID, which we really don't need, we'll just slide over there. Give me a second. I know there's the layout trick that we learned to do this, but I find it easier just to do it like this, to be honest. It only takes a second, folks. Okay, end time goes there. Minutes worked, which that can be smaller. And duration can be smaller too, unless you're working with gigantic times. I'm going to select all that. Right-click, size to grid. Make it all nice and even. Now this, that, and that can all be gray. I like to gray these things out because it just tells the user you can't change those. All right. This we're going to change into a combo box in the extended cut. And let's drop some labels on top. We got customer ID, start time, end time, minutes, and duration. All right, so just slide these up here. Like that. All right. Customer, start, end, minutes, and we'll just call this time. All right, line these guys up. Start, end, time, minutes. I'm almost as fast as doing it with the layout trick. I've gotten good at it over the years. All right, let's save this, close it, open it back up again, take a peek, see what we got. All right, stuff needs to be formatted down a little bit. Let's adjust this stuff here. Design view, take all this stuff. Let's left align everybody. And let's format these guys. Right-click, properties. Let's bring up the format in here. We're going to go M/D/YY space H:/NN. And let's do AM PM. Okay. Right? 1-digit month, 2 if needed. Same with the year, same with the hour. 2-digit minute, 2-digit year, and AM and PM. That should fit in that space. Perfect. Okay. Again, these calculations should all be correct. All right. Now we're going to add up stuff in the form footer. We're going to add up this total number of minutes. This, ignore it. That's just for looks. This is the number that we want right here. Okay. It's the only number I care about. Don't use those fractional hours because they're not exact. I don't care about the whole hours and the minutes left. That was just to make this number for appearances. This is the only number that you're going to use in your math. Unless you have to do calculations to the second. I'm assuming that everyone is billing by the minute. All right. If you're doing more precise calculations where you need seconds, then you need to do your calculations based on seconds. Okay. But I think for 99.9% of the business world, we use minutes. Right. You build the nearest minute. If not in 15-minute increments, and I've got a video on that too, how to make your billing to the 15-minute increments. I'll put a link to that down below too. 15-minute increments. Okay. That's a free video as well. Alrighty, so we want to take the sum of this guy. Now, this is something called form footer totals, and I have a video on form footer totals. You should go watch that too. I'm going to put a link to that down below, form footer totals. I got so many videos that you need to know that are all free. Go watch them before you try to comprehend this stuff. All right, so I'm just going to take this field, copy, and paste it down here in the form footer. Okay, open it up. Okay, now, it's minutes worked, but I want the sum of all of the minutes worked on the form. So change the control source to equals sum of all of that. Now I don't want to leave it text 15, so I call it sum minutes worked. Save it. Close the form. I always close the form and reopen it when I make design changes. And that should be the total of all of that. There's the total minutes worked up here. This is what you'll use for the rest of your calculations. All right, now you don't have to display them, but you need them. So let's do the same stuff we did in the query just down here in the form. All right, copy, paste. Slide you over here. Now, we don't need this guy, but I still want it. All right, just to show you how this stuff works. All right, we'll do the hours worked. This will be that fractional one again. All right, equals the sum minutes worked. There it is. It even pops up in the little helper thing for you there. You can click on that if you want to. All right, sum minutes worked divided by 60. And again, if you want to round that guy to 2 so it doesn't look all crazy with a fraction, round that, comma, 2. If you're not familiar with the round function, go watch my video on the round function. Rounds a number to the nearest decimal places. Okay, open it up. There you go. That's that number, that minutes, is 30.42 hours. Well, how many whole hours is that, you asked? Well, let's figure that out too. Let's copy this one. Copy, paste, slide it up next to it. All right, this will be whole hours worked. And what's that going to be? Equals the sum, the int of the sum minutes worked divided by 60. Chop off the fractional component. Save it, close it, open it up. That's 30 whole hours. Beautiful. Now, how many minutes are left over? We should know how to do this, right? Take this guy, right? Click on it, copy, paste. Slide it over here. Again, we don't need it, but we need it for the calculations. Minutes left. We could do all this in one big monster calculation, by the way. I don't like doing that. I like breaking it up into smaller steps. It's much easier to read later on, too. All right, this is the sum minutes worked minus the whole hours worked times 60. That's how many minutes are left over. Open it up. All right, 30 hours, 25 minutes left over. Right, because 30 hours would be 1,800. So there's 25 minutes left. Makes sense. Okay. Now I can display that cool duration again, right? We'll just copy any one of these, copy, paste, slide that up over here next to duration, or under duration, I should say. Now you can't sum that out. That's technically a text field. It's just displayed a certain way. Okay, but we're going to call it sum duration. And it's going to be equals whole hours worked and a colon. And we could do that format thing again. Format minutes left, comma, 00 to make sure it's 2 digits. Save it. Close it. Open it up again. There's my hours and minutes. 30 hours, 25 minutes. Right? Again, that makes sense, right? 1,800 would be 30 hours, 25 minutes left over. All right, want to see it in English down here below that? We could do that too. Copy this, copy, paste. That's just adjusting what's in here, right? All right, let's call this duration English. And we'll just change what's in here. Let me zoom in so you can see this better. Whoops, I lost. There we go. Come on down. All right, hours worked equals that many space hours, comma, and that many and space minutes. And if you do it this way, you don't really need the format because you can put 1 minute or minutes. Yeah, you could do something where you only show minute or minutes with maybe an if function. Maybe I'll show you that if I'm feeling lucky. Let's see here. Open that up. There you go. 30 hours, 25 minutes. Now this you could put into your billing if you want to. All right. Actually, this is probably better. That's just neat to show. All right, I'll show you the little if function trick since you bugged me. All right, watch this. There's another video called if, the immediate if, IIF. Okay, go watch that. All right, so you understand this. All right, minutes left. All right, so this right here, we're gonna chop that off. And at the end here, I'm gonna say and if minutes left equals 1, comma, put nothing there. Otherwise, put an S there. So if it's 1, it just says minute. If it's 0 or 2 or more, it'll put an S on the end of minutes. You could do the same thing with hours right there. Chop that off and say if whole hours worked is equal to 1, put nothing there. Otherwise, put an S there. Okay? And then we have to close up the if, and then put our comma space there. See that how that works with the little if? I don't want to confuse anybody. If you're confused by this, back up 30 seconds and stop watching, because I'm done. No? Go watch the if function. It's basically an if-then statement. If this, then do that, else do that. All right, now save it, open it back up again. This is the kind of cool stuff I usually reserve for the extended cut people. So for those of you who are thinking about becoming members, you want to see some neat stuff. All right, so we got to make this come out to 1 minute. So let's make this, I can't change that, can I? Let's change this to 00. Let's see what we got. All right, 30 minutes. All right, let's change this to 01. Ha-ha! 29 hours, 1 minute. See? Ricky does know what he's talking about. Let's change this to 0. There you go. You could even have this whole thing here disappear if it's 0. But I'm not going to get into that far. You can do nested if functions and all kinds of crazy stuff, which I do cover in my full classes, by the way. Okay? So, does that answer your question? Now, you got the times up here. You got the times all correct in the form footer. That's how you do it. All right? Want to learn more about making timesheets? Well, in the extended cut, 37 minutes long, we'll add that combo box to the timesheet so you can pick who the customer is that you're billing and some notes down on the bottom. Right? This is a phone consult. This is a warp drive overhaul. Whatever you want to bill for. Right? Then we'll track whether or not it's been invoiced already. Okay? So then I can open up one customer's billings, hit create invoice, and then boom, it just puts the invoice together. Right? Puts in the hourly billing, figures out the total number of hours, puts in our unit price for our hourly rate. Click another button, there's your printable invoice. All right, that's all covered in the extended cut for members. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut videos. I will also include links down below to other videos on similar topics. Like here's the original date diff that covers how to calculate total time spent. This one just doesn't go into the form footer totals. I've got my advanced date time seminar that covers all kinds of stuff having to deal with dates and times. Counting work days between two dates, right? A holiday exclusion table. So if you want to say this person started work on a Friday, ended on a Tuesday, but that Monday plus the whole weekend we don't count, all kinds of stuff. Pop-up notifications, recurring appointments, all kinds of stuff in here. Okay? How do you become a member? Click the join button below the video. After you click the join button, you'll see a list of all the different types of membership levels that are available. Silver members and up will get access to all of the extended cut tech help videos, live video and chat sessions, and more. Gold members get access to a download folder containing all the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus access to my full beginner courses and some of my expert courses. These are the full-length courses found on my website and not just for access. I also teach Word, Excel, Visual Basic, ASP, and lots more. But don't worry, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to post any comments that you have. I do read them all. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free, and click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Click on the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. You'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted, so if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of building databases with Access. It's over 3 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. And it's also free for all members of my YouTube channel at any level. Want to have your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page and you can send me your question there. Click here to watch my free Access Beginner Level 1 course, more of my Tech Help videos, or to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching this video from AccessLearningZone.com.